We'll go up. Perfect. I am exhausted by that introduction. I don't know about you. I didn't realize that all of that happened until just right now. So I'm going to catch my breath. And I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains with my partner Dana and our daughters Grace and Julia, and we live on Mill Creek. And we live with jaguars. We live with mountain lions. We are in a jaguar hotspot, the scientists tell us. We love it there. And we know they're always watching us. As I step out here, I feel very comfortable. I feel at home. I feel watched over by the big cats. So thank you for that beautiful artwork. It's great to be a Bioneer. I feel like we're all together here as Bioneers, and we wear that proudly. It's such a generous community, beginning with Nina and Kenny and extending throughout the staff and the volunteers, all of the speakers, all of the youth, all of the attendees are just so incredibly generous, and that's always how I feel when I come to the Bioneers Conference. The thing that I've learned by attending Bioneers as a scientist, and this is where I learned it in this room, is to say the word, the L word, in public from a podium, and not to be shy about that, to use the word love and stand tall. And then I can send you the citations about the neuroscience of love if you need those to stay with me. And that's been a mission, to train and work with other scientists to use the word love. Because when some people look at this blue marble we call home, they will tell you they see 71% of it covered with water and jobs and energy and minerals beneath the water, and they see seafood to extract, whales and turtles and fish to eat. They commodify this little blue marble, and that is what that image represents to some people. But we see Diane Wilson, Bioneer, working for our planet. We see Sylvia Earle. We see dolphins and whales. We see sea turtles. We see the Cousteau, 4 generations of Cousteaus. We see Dune Lankard fighting for salmon. We see Michael Stalker, fellow Bioneer. We see fishermen who used to hunt sea turtles working hard and bringing them back from the edge of extinction. We see the black turtles coming back. We also see the oil spills. We see Fukushima. We know there is plastic in every body of water, every ocean gyre. We know those things. But we also look at this planet and we feel love. We feel the connection to our home. And I think as we begin to better understand those emotions and we move in and go deeper, and we begin to understand our own brains, and we stop giving up the knowledge of our brains to others, to marketers or politicians, and we marry eco-literacy and neuroliteracy, we own that knowledge of our brains. This generation becomes the first generation with a decent user's guide to the human brain. Think about that as our understanding of how our nervous system works expands and deepens. How can we apply that to the work at hand that we've been learning about these days, these years, these decades? I'll leave that question open. I'll leave it for you to apply these insights in your own work, in your own ways. It's an amazing brain that you have, isn't it? It's beautiful. It's fascinating. It's endlessly interesting, and we are experiencing a revolution in neuroscience. And so I've been thinking about the brain and water and wondering about all that water gives us, that feeling of awe when we step out to the water. Turns out, neuropsychologists tell us that awe moves us from a me to a we perspective. We need awe. Let's make more awe, okay? Let's do that. When we are near the water, we feel passion. Not just awe and wonder, but deep, deep romantic passion. Now, this was scandalous in 1953. I hope it's not scandalous today. Some of you may remember this film. It won some awards and got some attention. Imagine this scene without the water. Kind of dry, kind of sandy, maybe a little uncomfortable. The water makes it happen. Passion, 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 and water. And wonder again. When we're near the water and we're in the water, we're a better version of ourselves. That awe and wonder and passion takes over. We connect to those we love. We build community. We build movement. We fall more in love with each other in the water. We become creative when we move on the water. We can express ourselves differently with the water. Water metaphors jazz our brains up, and they pervade our language. Flow, dive in, all kinds of metaphors. When we step out to the bow, when we're on the water, and experience the creatures that are in the water, we get happy. Very, very happy. Anybody who's ever been in the bow watching dolphins knows what I'm talking about. And we will stay there until the dolphins decide they're no longer interested in hanging out with us, and then that happiness sticks with us for a while. More romance. I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Mr. DiCaprio. Is a man who loves the water. A key part of this film was the water, clearly. It didn't end so well. We won't go there right now. But imagine this scene without the water. Less romantic, certainly. But Leo has showed up to support Bioneers and ocean conservation in a big way, and we're thankful for that. And then underneath the water, completely immersed. Wow. What does that do to us? I met a woman today who told me that she decided to learn to scuba dive after the last plenary I gave and has been diving ever since. And we had a moment that required no words as we both went in our minds to that place. It's a beautiful photograph by our friend Brian Scarry. Full immersion in water. Highly recommend it. It brings us together. Water connects us. It changes our brains in the best possible way. It gives us a blue mind. And as we begin to understand that and put that knowledge to work in the hands of the Bioneers around the world, we will be able to do our jobs better. We will be able to speak about our work and what we care about most better. We will be able to cut through some of the noise and put some science behind the love, if needed, although it's not needed by this man in the front row. It may be needed by some others. As we drill down and understand our neurons themselves, on nature, on green, on wilderness, on water, we will be more successful. We will be. Now, this isn't just a story about oceans. It's about all waters around the world, throughout our country. Mill Creek in our backyard, our daughter Julia goes to sleep every night listening to it. The lakes, the rivers, the waterways, large and small, throughout our nation, give us that blue mind experience. Now, this is how we live a lot of the time, and maybe not this group, but outside of this hall, people live under pressure, highly distracted, devices that are always on, from waking till sleep, communicating in one way or another, being pinged and called and messaged, being poked and liked day and night. Wow, please, turn it off once in a while, right? That's how we feel. And that's the trend. That's where things are headed. This is a more connected, always-on time for humanity. Psychologists and Zen masters refer to this as monkey mind. I'm going to take from the laughter that you understand what I'm talking about. We've all felt that way, and certainly would love to have that surgeon remove that monkey from our minds in those moments. Monkey mind. It's becoming the norm. It leads to stress, chronic toxic stress. And our brains under stress do not perform at their best. They do some things well. The fight or flight response, incredibly important. When you've got a lion perhaps looking you in the eye at a place you don't want the lion looking you in the eye, perhaps. Deadlines, urgencies, getting out of the way of trouble, important. But when stress becomes toxic and chronic, it begins to destroy our cells, our DNA, and interfere with our neurons. At the extreme is post-traumatic stress, which can occur on the battlefield, and it can occur on the highway, and it can occur in your home, and it can occur anywhere. Post-traumatic stress puts us in a red mind state. Red mind is important in certain doses. And as people who care deeply about nature, about the ocean, about our planet, about each other, about our children, about our future, sometimes we are spun out into red mind mode. We feel angry. We feel scared. The messages we're getting make us more angry and more scared. We lose our creativity. We lose our ability to reach out and collaborate when we're in red mind mode. Fear is useful sometimes. But if we live in fear, we will not solve these problems. So there's blue mind. Once in a while, as often as possible, perhaps step back, turn it off, step away from the screen, close it down, and move towards the water, move towards the river, move towards the coast. Find your place to get your blue mind on, near, in, on, or underwater, because it feeds our creativity. It feeds innovation. Thinkers throughout history have spent time in nature and by water to think better, more profoundly, more creatively. that sense of awe, that sense of wonder, the solitude and privacy that we can have at the edge of the water is important for a generation at a time when solitude and privacy are being squeezed in many ways. Oliver Sacks, one of the great neurologists of all time and a profound and prolific writer, goes to the water to think. He would like to swim for 2 hours a day if he had his way, in lakes, in pools, in rivers, anywhere he can. And he keeps a waterproof notebook and a pencil on the dock, on the edge of the pool, so that when he has big ideas, which he tends to have while he's in water, he can discharge them and jot them down. And then we get to benefit and read about them in his wonderful books. There's one person I wanted to tell you about. Second person I want to tell you about is Naoki. He wrote a wonderful book about his life with autism from his perspective, inside the body and the brain of a 13-year-old boy. When he's in the water, he says he feels like us. When he's in the water, he's relieved from the overstimulation that happens on land wearing clothing. That's a gift to him, to his parents, to his friends, to anyone in the similar situation. Third person I want to introduce you to is Martin Pollock, friend of mine, veteran, British guy, came back from Afghanistan with one arm and no legs. He told me, my plan was to go to the pub, sit on the stool, drink with my mates, and become a blob. That's what he said. And then he was invited to come and surf. Got him a special wetsuit, got him out on a board. And that's Martin. He calls himself 1LS. That's his code nickname, the one-limb surfer. I highly recommend, next time you find yourself in front of something that has YouTube on it, look up Martin Pollock. And I apologize right now, you will lose the next hour of your life to a journey with Martin. Some of the most inspiring videos you'll come across. So now Martin emerges from the water, and he calls himself a surfer, and he keeps surfing. But even more, he wants to teach others to connect with their water. And even better, Martin is an ocean warrior, and you can't stop him. He wants to save and protect and restore access to the ocean that saved his life. That's amazing. So let's take this message of what the real value of water is. All of the waters. Let's take it out of the bathroom. Let's take it out of the boathouse, and let's take it to the boardroom, and let's take it to the White House. Let's deliver this Blue Mind message to the most serious conversations. Let's bust those doors open and talk about the cognitive, emotional, psychological, and social benefits, services, values that water has, because that language is not happening right now in that place. That's what we need to do. It's about love. And we can talk about love in public as scientists, as passionate advocates for our water. We'd better talk about love. Because when I look at water, from far away or from close up, it feels to me like I'm looking into the eyes of those I love. My daughter Grace. That's how it feels. That's what's going on in my neurons. Let's talk about that. Let's deliver that message. Let's put it in the papers and the journals, and let's shout it when we speak. So you were given a blue marble on your way in. I just want to say one thing. When a stranger hands you a blue marble first thing in the morning, y'all have a lot of different reactions to that. Can I eat it was one of them. What's this for? That was kind of common. A little bit of skepticism. But I'd say mostly a hand, wow, thank you. That's beautiful. Click, got it, I understand, with no words. So if you hold your blue marble up, that's what we look like from a million miles away. We look kind of small and kind of blue. And if you draw your marble close, really close to your eye, and you look at the brightest light you can, put it right to your eye and look in there. Super duper trippy. You want to keep this marble handy in your pocket for a while, for those times that you can't get to the water. Close up, it's so much different. It's even more beautiful. So my ask, your homework, the project here is for you to take that blue marble, keep it someplace safe. And when the time is right, I would like you to give it to someone and thank them. Tell them your story of water. Thank them for what they do to make our little planet a better place. Because gratitude lights up our brains as much as anything. And it feels good to give, and it feels good to get. And what I really, really came here to say is one thing, really. And that is, I wish you water. I wish you deep, cold, blue water. And when it does come, and it will, eventually, let's look to the sky and be thankful and open our mouths and drink it. Thank you. Thanks.